Welcome to another episode of One Step Ahead Referee Development Program. This is the trends of the game for referees, some learnings from 2022 NTLs, some reminders of things that are quite often not consistent in our game between referees, and just some overall video analysis discussion topics that I think will enable all of us to do our job a bit better. So the key areas that we will focus on in this presentation are rule interpretation and expectation to try and get a bit more consistency. 7 meters, which is a major aspect of focus coming out of NTLs. Try line, communication, another key aspect coming out of NTLs. Advantage and interchanging is the third key aspect coming out of NTLs. So let's start with rule interpretation and expectation. If you are with others, please engage with them in discussion. Pause the video whenever you like, go back, repeat sections. Okay, make sure you understand the intent of our rules and desired application of them. This is really, really important. Too often we go out there and we put our own spin, or we have heard something from someone that's potentially not so credible, or has been put in place from someone else's perspective coming back from a tournament. Be sure that we're actually being consistent in how we approach our rules and that we apply the intent that is desired so that we get that end result. One thing to think about, or a hint for you, your demeanor is the way you behave, which gives people an impression of your character and feelings. Not only that though, that first impression, it really does count for people to judge you, even though you don't deserve to be judged straight away as a referee. So be confident, be loud, have a nice whistle tone if you can. Some tips later on in the video. Just do those little things that make people think, oh, this guy or girl knows what she's doing or he's doing. Okay. If you exude confidence, you're more likely to receive the respect you deserve from players. Whether that's a fair thing or an unfair thing, we are judged by how we're seen. Just like when you go into an interview for a job, that first impression really counts. When players hear a loud voice, see confident calls and decisions being made, hear a proper whistle tone, see you putting in the effort to be close to the ball as much as you can, they accept your decisions more readily, even if they don't agree with them. Okay, it provides a higher level of respect to that referee. So what do we say? Fake it till you make it. Okay, put in the effort and you'll get the rewards. Be sure to have a full and tidy uniform. Why is this important? We just said before. When you go for a job interview, that first impression counts. You have to make every effort to ensure that you exude confidence, demand respect from your look, your choice of words, and the actions that you take. Okay. There should be no excuses for any of that not being in place, even if you're a new referee. Wear the TFA national uniform, shirt, shorts, hat, and socks. Wear your TFA badge, the current level, it's part of the uniform. Come with a positive attitude and a smile. Look and act professionally and demonstrate mutual respect. Give respect and you will get it back most of the time. Think about our signals, our communication, our look, our appearance. Why is this all important? Well, some 80 to 90% of effective communication is achieved via the use of our body language. Okay. The other 10 to 20% from what we say, how we say it, the words we choose to use. Are we actually aiming what we're saying at the group of people in front of us that are of the age to understand it, of the ability to understand it, or do we need to adjust some things? Okay. When our body language is supported by clear and concise language, we achieve greater shared awareness and understanding. We may be saying something that we think is really clear, but if we're not getting a reaction or response that we're desiring, perhaps it's not as clear as we think. We need to go back and think about how we're saying things sometimes. It's always great if you can grab hold of any video footage of yourself in action to not only see what you're doing, see where you're doing things, but hear what you're saying. Look at when you do and don't get the reaction that you want. Have you said a specific thing in a specific way that has made that change? Okay, if you find those little catches, use them, keep them. If you're finding that you're not getting the reaction that you want, work out what you can do to change it. Okay, it's important that we maintain consistency. Get greater understanding from players so that we have less conflict in the game and improve our game outcomes overall. That's what we all want. Okay, let's watch some signals in action.
Just looking to set up here for Hawley, probably his left to right. Penalty for not moving forward. Quick tack taken. Well, he's called play on, never made the line. Oh! Tries awarded.
Have a look
The
at
old
this.
dog still got tricks.
Marks agreed to.
Mate, let's have a look. Let's have a look.
That player's never on the
Oh,
side.
yeah, there you go.
Offside. Never made the line. Bendy's back and get in there.
Have a little look, eh? Ball to ground.
You can see those signals.
Nice,
You can
here
see
we
the
go.
control.
Corey's pretty quick. He may have recovered, but not
Talking to
very
players
good
in
body
particular,
position.
making sure we're
Touch
targeted
before.
with our
So,
direction.
oh, there we go. Yeah, nice. So, I was just about to say, nice to see the referees, John Vickland, Lee Rosso, and Damien Miller here in the game. John Vickland, like I said earlier, is representing at the State of Origin
So
in
sometimes
Queensland.
we have to slow
great
things
tournament.
down, take
Yeah,
control.
agree. Young
ensure that we're
Rikoya.
taking some of that conflict and heat out of the game.
He's,
Oh,
future of Palm Beach touch there, young Rikoya. Got a great ball on him.
And how old is he? They don't mind going the length, mate. I'd hate to think of how many. Oh, there we go. We got a forward pass.
Oh,
Yeah.
referees love a forward pass off the ruck, don't they?
Oh, yeah. We're going to see it.
Down for Lovey.
Yep, got him.
Ball's probably on the ground for just a bit too long.
Yeah, he's got him. You could hear the
We're
ref
playing
barking.
advantage, trying to
Yeah,
get them
we
on
can hear
side.
Lee calling
Make
it
sure we're
hard.
talking as much as we can. Sometimes we
It'd be
just
good
have to
see
give that
Tiggins
penalty.
get one here before.
Boom. Got him in the touch. Doesn't matter. Wing. Rip.
Oh,
Rika.
So assist players in understanding who has created the change, who has made the game
So you know
change.
Van's
So
been
6
shut.
more, who
Yeah,
touches
yeah,
it?
you know Van's
Point to
shut.
that player. We can read the play and get there early.
Maury.
Oh,
We're going to be in a good position for the finish.
nice.
Walk over.
That could be the game.
Take a moment if you need to ask any questions on our Facebook page. Okay, message me direct if you don't want to put it out there for others to see, but by asking questions in a public space, all of us get the advantage of getting that information. Okay, no question is a dumb question, apart from the one you don't ask because you don't get the answer. So please, 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 if you have questions, you want to clarify something, even if it's a rule that we've spoken about before, please do so. I encourage you to do that. So, next question. Why is it important that we have appropriate whistle tone? Whilst it technically doesn't matter if you can or can't get the effective tone that we like to get, as long as it's loud, players will respond to it. But if you can get that correct whistle tone, you will get that next level of response from players. Okay, the application of correct whistle tone then makes a telling difference in how you are judged and treated by others, whether that's the right thing or the wrong thing. That's what happens. Players accept more decisions that are made by a referee with a quality whistle tone. So my tip for you, practice blowing your whistle, holding it differently until you're comfortable. Okay, once you're happy with the outcome, then you can do what you need to do. Here's a short little video that I prepared earlier on whistle blowing. It doesn't go through all the ins and outs, but it's a quick glimpse of where we're at and what we want to see you trying to do. Okay, so here today to talk to you a little bit about whistleblowing. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there are a few different variations to the way people hold their whistles. The main two are like this, making sure that we are covering and compressing the air at the side. And the second one is like this, again, ensuring that we're holding the edges so that we compress the air. So the whole reason that this happens is if we just blow our whistle normally without any compression on the sides, then we get a high-pitched whistle tone. If we compress the air slightly, and you'll just need to play around with it for how much you need, because it's different for everyone, you'll actually get a decent whistle tone just by doing that. You don't have to change anything else in the way that you blow the whistle. No special things with your tongue that some people talk about. It's as simple as that, compressed air. Okay, so coming up after this, you'll see a couple of quick little video snippets of me blowing the whistle for different actions. So starting the game, pausing the game, 6-touch, penalties, tries, and end of game kind of sequence, just so that you can hear that there are different whistles for length of time and intensity. Hopefully that helps you a little bit. There's another whistle or signals in action video already online that we've posted. If you need any other information, please contact us. So, you don't have to do it right now, but please take the time to go and practice. Get it better. Get it as good as you can until you're happy with it. Film yourself so that you can hear the difference and the improvement as you're going. Okay, all these aspects will help you to get better at refereeing and at getting better responses out of players. So, structured penalty sequence. It's really important that we get our penalty sequence right. First thing we do is we ensure that we verbalise the infringement. So let's say it's an offside penalty. We're going to try to get players to know that they're offside. So 7 offside, 7 no. If we still have no impact and they infringe in the game, then we must penalise them. Okay, so we step forwards from the line, blow our penalty, give the signal, give the mark, move back into our onside position so that we can be in the right position. So let's have a look at an example. There's an interchange here. The referee identifies that that player is offside, tries to get them out of there. One reacts, the other doesn't. Okay, so then we move back into that position. Second example.
Oh, and they're away on the
outside.
Good yards.
We're calling the players back, calling the players back.
We'll need to find the middle of the field here now.
Identifying the inside players here.
It's a fifth touch.
Long passer on the ball. Switch call, trying to switch.
Oh,
we're going to play advantage here. Here's the repeat set, Dave. You just said let's not give away repeat sets. Let's bury the ball at the other end. They're going to argue with the referee over the call, but offside is the call.
So I'll be looking here for
moving them forward,
for Michael or Trey,
getting them back to the line. He hasn't made the line, still hasn't made the line.
Got the ball down.
Offside. Here's the first one back. Well done, Tiggers. Making a contest of it.
So watch again. We're moving them forward.
Here we go. Again, discipline, Dave.
Yep. He still hasn't made the line. Try time. Okay. Same thing for departing play. Same process. Verbalise. Move to the mark. Blow your whistle on the move, demonstrate the signal and verbalise as much as you can, set the mark, inform the defence of the onside requirement.
Pretty quick, he may have recovered,
the referee's coming on.
Not very good body position there on the touch by Corey.
So, there we go. Yeah, nice. So, I was just about to say, nice to see the referees, John Vickland, Lee Rosso and Damien Miller here in the game.
And
John Vickland, like I said earlier, is representing at the State of Origin for Queensland.
The ref has gone on and taken over the defensive line. So both referees are in controlling positions.
They don't mind going
Another example.
I'd hate to think of how many. Oh, there we go. We've got a forward pass.
Oh,
yeah.
Referees love a forward pass off the ruck, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
So you're verbalising as you move through, getting to the mark. Another example of a forward pass. This time batted forward. So I'm verbalising, telling them what's happening here. Forward pass, forward pass. Pass the mark, turn to watch the ball, give the mark. And you're setting that 10. Really important as we move down the field that we're fluent in what we do, that our 7 metre is consistent in size, in ensuring players are onside, whether it's through head checking or whatever other avenues you use. Use your peripheral vision as well. That's a really key part of seeing what's happening. When you get down to that try line, be that couple of metres back behind play so that you are able to see as far laterally as you can without having to turn your head so you can focus on the ball. If you can, get yourself in the right position to be able to pivot with your chest to the ball still, then run your angle, square up, the last few steps, square, set and move off again. Okay. Our proximity to the ball in general play should be 2 to 3 metres wide of the head of the roll ball. Not in front of it, but wider. As we get near the hot try line, we get tighter on the head of the roll ball, but we're moving laterally earlier because you only have lateral movement when you're on a try line. You don't have to go forwards and backwards. We want you to remain as close to the ball as possible in that instance using that early lateral movement. And of course, some of the aspects that we want referees to start focusing on a lot more is their own game awareness and their ability to read when the player is coming to interchange effectively. So game awareness and interchanges are 2 pivotal parts of the game that we as referees in general are not as good as the players are yet. So that's something that we need to work on as a body, as a group, to ensure that we are getting better at that. So there will be videos about those particular aspects coming out in an effort to try and help all of us get better and consistent around that.
Haven't really had the chance to attack apart from the tap
Watch this example.
Down on their try line.
Referee there early in place.
A little bit of a foot in the ruck. Pick up by the referees. It's always close. It's always a close call that the refs have to make with feet in the ruck. And was it actually
staying a couple of metres across from the head of the roll ball where possible.
Sometimes it's very close to call.
It's a big day for the referees as well, Percy. We've spoken
Getting
about them
nice and
plenty of
early.
times in obviously very positive fashion throughout the week, but this is a day that they really look forward to on their calendar as one that they lock in early in the year. his foot off the gas a little bit. Probably
Another
didn't recognise that
example.
the Cobra's covered defender was
Pivoting,
coming over and just
chest the
snapped
ball,
him at the last minute.
And that was one of the
squaring
plays
up,
we mentioned earlier, Lee.
setting,
You said unless you're within
talking
arm's
to them.
distance of the half runner, you shouldn't be diving, because as soon as you dive and miss, that player has all the time in the world.
So identify those
That's why I
players
guess it
early
does
that they're
come
offside,
from you looking
identify
like
the
a
offside,
genius. When
identify the
this player's
offside.
been called offside here, Milty, I'll leave that with you.
The Cobras are through to dummy half, does get the
following
ball
play.
away, and the referee points to the spot after a play-through call. And the Cobras...
So if you want to talk to people about it, if you want to share some thoughts online, please feel free to do so. We'll continue with the videos, but feel free to pause anytime to talk about anything with anyone you're with. Another example of some quality refereeing. Keeping that 2 to 3 metres where possible from the head of the roll ball. Getting it nice and early to set. Talking to players about what he wants, where he wants them. Identifying a player that has impinged on play, so creating the 6 more.
Getting their mitt in the lane. Carly, you spoke about the wingers
moving laterally early and up with them to get them moving.
Swans now giving the outball back to Benny Moore. We know he likes to run. Great defense.
And mirroring that ball as much as possible.
Swans unable to breach the Sharks line at this point in time. So Swans versus Sharks.
We're talking to that particular player who wasn't moving on.
Australian representatives in both these teams already, as there's the link pass.
And is right on the spot for the try.
Oh,
beautiful.
Wow.
Again, if you're with people, have a chat. If you want to post stuff online, feel free. Next one.
Give Queensland 15s merit players from this year.
Referees 2 to 3 metres wide of the roll ball. Setting nice and early. Now we're in lateral drill, so we need to move sideways. In this instance, player wasn't onside. You can see that. You see from the replay.
You know, open level players have difficulties making adjustments on the run, so I think sometimes you can think too much about it, and you can put too much pressure on the players coming into these big games. So
I would extend that too, Carly, for the fact that most of the touch football moves that we see are generally just variations of
still
something
making sure that they're getting the lateral
anyway. So it's still, you can know what people are doing. There's still so many options, so many variations that you can do that really just rely on the skills and individual abilities of players, that it makes it so hard to defend regardless.
Same again, we're identifying which player is doing it and how we've interpreted it in the past. Just quickly on the one. Setting the standard by playing on the speed we want them to move at. Getting in a position to be there nice and early to make a call.
Nice diving touch there from Prendergast to save that try.
And I think if Sharks are a little bit smarter, like that was, you know, inside the 7 priority, so I think if they had their chance again with that, that set it a little further out and it might have made it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. We get a penalty here, so offsides, the call.
Feel free, once again, same thing. Share your thoughts if you're with people. We'll keep moving forwards, otherwise feel free to pause it. So 7 metres. We have to have game knowledge of a change of pace. So when there's a particular drive pattern happening, when sweeper plays are set up, when the static play occurs, all of that we need to understand why it's being done the way it's done, when it's going to happen, what little visual cues or triggers we can look for to help us understand those changes in play and changes in dynamics. Because whenever they do change from one aspect to another, the speed of the game changes, the structure changes, and we need to understand that and understand what to look for to ensure we're moving to the right place early rather than late. Okay, interpreting the play, understanding what's happening so that we can be predicting what will happen next rather than just reacting. We have to set a strong presence consistently in the 7 metre line. This is one aspect that as a referee coach and as someone on a Queensland panel, we often aren't able to give people their upgrades because they don't have that consistency in the presence in the 7 metre line from a slower game to a faster game, for example, or aren't reading when that change of pace occurs, so it's not consistent throughout a game. By the same token, we need to manage all defenders to an onside position. Quite often we'll have a loose or fringe player not picked up by the referee, not picked up by their buddy on the sideline, and that player is enabled to be offside and impact on the play, shutting it down. We have to get on top of that stuff. We also have to be sure to be consistent in managing the touch through minimum force, contact on the ball, follow through and a touch. All of these factors we need to be aware of and what impact they have on the game. Because if we're not and we let them go, frustrations appear, then we have conflict and other issues that we have to deal with. We have to manage the roll ball. Is it square? Are they throwing forward passes that we quite often miss, unfortunately, in this quick game? Have they dropped the ball and we've missed it? Okay, because we've been in a position where we haven't been able to see through a number of sets of legs. Can we identify key plays in attack and in defense? Do we know what we're looking for to do that? These are all aspects that we have to get good at if we're not already at that standard. These are game changers for us. Still on the 7 meters, we need to look at positioning. What are the visual cues for our attack strategies, support plays in motion, and the defensive shape that help us know where we're going and what to look for? Are we consistent with all players being onside every touch? As I already said, the size of our 7 meters, the size of our buddy's 7 meters is the same as ours, or at least very close. That's what we have to be doing for teamwork. Are we present and can we manage? We've already mentioned those things. So 7 meters out, the try line. Okay, what we've classified as the red zone. Are we moving forward at pace? Are we getting players to move as we want? Do we need to demonstrate it? Use our proximity, use our voice? If so, do that. Okay. Are they freezing? Are we identifying when they're able to? The ball's rolled inside. So do we say inside when they roll inside the 7 meters? So players know they don't have to move forward. If they choose to move forward, though, they can't jump back early. So identify that situation, players. Help them out. There's no issue with doing that. In fact, it's really good for us to be able to communicate effectively to players to help them know what's going on. Have there been impeding in the play? Can we play on if possible? Do we need to use the sin bin? So if a player conducts a professional foul, we must use the sin bin. That's what it's there for. So there's examples on that on previous videos. There'll be more examples to come later on, but we must be consistent in doing that. If we let too much stuff go, we have an issue because frustrations grow. And we need to understand the exclusion rule. We need to make sure that we're preempting, that we're talking to players. Okay, that's our second penalty on the try line. No more. The next one, someone's excluded. Yeah, we have to know this stuff. We have to give them the information, not just expect that they understand it too. Let's have a look at another example video. Okay, there's a chase. Referees change. Referees calling players back into position in terms of onside. They've maintained control despite a breakaway. So now he's asked them to make the try line. And again, identified to this play, he needs to be on the try line. Moving forward to identify or demonstrate to them what is expected in terms of speed. Staying with the player, watching for things happening off the ball, and in a great position to make that decision. Next video.
Oh, and they're away on the outside. Good yards.
This one we've already seen, so you should know what you're looking for.
Here now. Fifth touch again. It's a fifth touch.
Long passer on the ball. Switch call, trying the switch. Oh, we're going to play advantage here. Here's the repeat set, Dave. You just said, let's not give away repeat sets. Let's.
Yeah, we don't need to watch the whole video because you've seen some of it before. It's important to be communicating, as you can see and hear. Next one. Look carefully at what happens in this. Why did the referee react there? What happened? Did you see it? Let's watch it again. So 2 to 3 meters wide, moving forwards, sets.
Oh, very, very special. Got a forward pass here, picked up from the official. You know, under 18s, it's just a bit different feel to your 12s and 15s or your stage.
Look at where the body is positioned.
Oh, very, very special.
Look at the hand action.
Picked up from the official.
We have to pick those things up.
Of your energy, you're probably still a bit busted, but here you are attacking the line again.
It's always easier to play from in front than from behind.
So didn't ask for the mark. Head runs past the mark.
Will. You need
so
a mark
wasn't
from the
able to
referee before you
continue in that
play.
instance.
Yep.
Okay.
So you can just see a little bit more spring in the step now of the Salmon boys.
Got the tails up.
They're up by one.
We're not always able to talk players out of
had a few
penalties,
calls
but
go
as
their
much as
way.
we can. That's the benefit.
Tails
of the
are
game.
up.
Nice dive. Good touch by the link.
There, young Mason Hartley.
Is that Mason defending by Campbell there, yeah? And in fact, there's the 3 Hartleys on the right-hand side of the field there from our perspective.
I'm sure Senior will be talking to the two boys and making sure that they're doing their jobs properly.
They are in check.
So during those plays where there's some time and they've run through, you're talking to players to ensure you're giving them as much information to help them.
Nice read there by the winger.
Playing towards Van.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. There it is. Quarterbacks.
Good touch.
Yep. And when we
The
play
more you
against,
referee teams, the more you'll get
Chris
to know the plays that they will run.
As well.
Yep.
So you know Van's
Also helps you then set up your position.
There we go.
So they've just run that play,
Maury.
and they've run it a second time.
Nice.
Walk over.
That could be the game.
Moving on to communication. We need to make sure that our general communication is clear, assertive, confident. Okay. Early, clear, decisive are the key things. In our preloading, we need to make sure that we're doing player management as well as the touch count once we continue up through the badges and get better at our art of refereeing. Okay. The best officials, the best referees in the game of touch football, preload player management, touch count, pretty much everything they are able to, so that all they are then doing is pinpointing any management of players, the touch itself, any other aspects they need to post-touch. Okay, so trying to really set up so that everybody knows what's happening, what's expected at every instance. That's the key. If you can do that and get it right, the outcomes for you and the game outcomes for everyone will be enhanced greatly. So, like I said, preloading, early, clear, decisive. Okay, we have to use correct terminology. Reasonable pace, inside, standoff, try line. Okay, 7 meters. All of these aspects are really important. If you don't know what you should be saying, download the rulebook edition 8. Have a look. There's a whole section on just terminology. And our order of delivery, I still hear this from many people. It's telling them what they want and then who it was for. It's too late then. You have to give them their number or their position first and then what you want from them. Think about your own ability. If you hear a statement and then your name, you'll turn because you hear your name, but it's too late. You needed to have heard your name to clue you in, and then you're listening intently to what's going to be said. Here's an example of some great refereeing and some really clear communication. Hopefully you can hear all the communication going on there. Really great example of preloading and communicating with players. So I'd encourage you, if you can't hear the volume, turn it up, do what you need to do to get there. Play it again if you're not sure. There's really strong tri-line communication.
Is that the right line?
Another example. Touch count 4 coming, he was just saying. Identifying the players where they need to be and what he wants from them. So looking at advantage, arguably the most important aspect of the game. We've spoken about it before, we'll speak about it forever because it is something that we are not great at in terms of our consistency as a referee body. So we're going to watch the videos on the next slides and answer the questions that are on the left. The questions will disappear, but it's basically, do you agree or disagree that they've got it right and why? Around the purpose of the advantage, the length of time, whether they were overzealous and whether they rewarded poor skill or bad play. Let's have a look at some examples. You can hear the sideline referee screaming at the player that they were offside, and they didn't influence them at all. So watch what happens next. Penalty was forced. This player being identified several times as being outside, screamed at, advantage played, so they never got back on side. There are your questions. What was the purpose of advantage? Players weren't responding to our calls. They were offside. They didn't need to impinge on the game, so we play advantage. Okay, this was a grand final, but it doesn't matter what game it is. We have to be thinking about the best outcomes of the game and fairness for everyone. The length of time. In this instance, there was no advantage in terms of length of time. It was just simply they were offside, so it was a play-on call. We had to blow the penalty in the first instance because the player didn't respond. In this instance, we were able to give that play on. Okay. Next one.
Touch it was from the Cobras.
Well, I thought he was in for all money, and I think he maybe just took his foot off the gas a little bit. Probably didn't recognise that a Cobras covered defender was coming over.
Again, we've seen this video already today.
At the last minute.
And that was one of the plays we mentioned earlier, Lee, where you said unless you're within arms.
Referee getting there nice and early, getting them on side, talking to the players.
That player has all the time in the world.
Right.
Now identifies this player as being offside, 2 minutes still offside.
This player's been called offside here, Milty. I'll leave that with you.
The Cobras are through to dummy half, does get the ball away, and the referee
and ultimate
points to
advantage.
the spot after a play through call. And the
Try.
Cobras.
Queensland 15s, merit players.
Another one we've seen already.
Queensland 18s, merit players as well.
Identified that they should be on the try line. 8 hasn't made the try line, still hasn't made the try line. So I gain the advantage for the try. But I have to be thinking about the impact on the game. Does our decision cause an unfair advantage or disadvantage to somebody not doing anything wrong? If there's no breach in the rules by a team, we don't want to unfairly disadvantage them. Okay? There are a whole heap of factors, not square in the middle of the game. We can warn on the run. We don't have to pull the game up when it hasn't advantaged or disadvantaged anybody. Yeah, if it's a terrible roll ball to the side, you're probably going to pick it up. But if it's slightly to the side, it makes no difference to the game at all. There's no advantage for a scooper picking it up, running through with the open channel. Why would we turn it over? Why would we not warn them on the run of what we need to see? Make sure the next roll ball's square. Then as they're coming into that same play, as they move in, perhaps it's on their subset, square roll ball, you know, like we're preempting, we're preloading, we're talking to them about what we want to try and get any of those niggly little changeovers, breaches of the rules out of the way. Because we can play advantage instead of constantly penalizing. Okay, we don't want to be over officious. We don't want to be that referee that just continually penalizes. If we're doing that, it means we're not communicating well enough to change what's happening in the game. We need to maintain balance. Okay. Applications of rules have to be fair and equitable both ways. We need our teamwork to be in sync between our referees. We need the consistency to lead to integrity, to lead to rapport. Feel free to say, sorry, I didn't see it that way. This is what I saw. Or I'll keep my eye out for that. No, sorry, I didn't see that, but I'll keep my eye out for it next time. Saying things like that build that humanistic quality in us, even though we are humans. Sometimes we're seen as robots as referees, believe it or not. Okay. We need to make sure we're building that rapport, reminding players that we are human. We will make mistakes, but we will accept our mistakes. We'll own when we make a mistake. All of that will definitely lead to better game outcomes because it takes some of the conflict away. Interchanging, we spoke before about interchanging. There are a few factors here that we need to make sure everyone's aware of. We need to read where the attack is heading and to which players. That helps us move on the field to the right position early. That's the key. If a subset is coming and we know a subset is coming, we should be on the field before the ball. So the off-field referee should be on the field taking over before the ball gets to that interchange area. Fresh legs. We want our fresh legs on before theirs. Means that we can get wider earlier when we know that they're going to start doing their lateral ball expansive play. We need to identify where the defenders are and who the impact players are. Identify our best entry option, where the referee should be positioned on entry and how they will manage the 7-meter line. Who will be in control of what? We need to make sure we're aware of this. The exiting referee doesn't just stop. The entering referee doesn't just start. Okay, there's a process for each to taper in and out and to focus on who they need to focus on to get the voices in the right places. Think about where the attack's going to go next. Read your background players, your support players. What are they doing? Where are they going? What's being set up and who does the attack strategy? Or who does it target? Where does it target? Why is it targeting that? Okay. We want a positive change position, not a negative change position. We don't want hesitation or surprise. Let's look at another example. Here's an interchange. Ball was coming, referee's on nice and early. Now, this is a men's final. These referees have ref together in this tournament a number of times, but these referees are not all from the same country. Okay. Change over, that referee stays on. Why did they stay on? And they could have changed because the play is going to the other side. It's a subset. They're going to go to their sub box. Again, you'll see a nice early interchange here. And the ball's going to the box, so there's the change. So 2 clean, crisp, early changes. Okay, this is stuff you should know. Off-field referee. They enter behind the defensive line at an angle in front of the exiting referee, and they maintain 7-meter management. So prior to engaging, they're talking to the wing and link about what they want. As they're engaging, they're reaching in further, reminding the wing and link what they want, but reaching further to the middles to ensure that those middle players are onside. As the on-field referee exits, they exit deep behind the entering referee, but they're then focusing on speaking to the wing and link nice and early to make sure that they're getting back onside. They stay focused on the game. And that's the critical thing. Let's look at some interchange videos. Was the interchange correct? Were all the defenders onside? Why did the attack change its direction? And were the off-field referees in the correct position to assist? So referees interchange here as they come for the subset. Are we happy with what we're seeing? Are all the players onside? Do they get them onside before they get involved? I'll leave that to you to work out. Same questions, next video. Just telling them what he wants from them. Interchange occurs now. They spread across. Referee interchanges straight away, does the one-touch routine. See you later, I'm out of here. Do we believe all players are inside? You can watch it again if you need to. Next video, same questions. Here's the interchange. Coming up. Ball goes wide. Interchange is there. Referee has to race to get in position. Not the cleanest of interchanges, but got there as quickly as they could. The fact that the referee wasn't able to get there, were they able to manage the defence to an onside position? That's what I want you to think about. What will you take home from this presentation? I know there's a lot in there. Don't expect you to take it all home and understand everything. But, as you know, you have questions, ask them. That's what we're here for. Okay? Use our Facebook group. Don't have Facebook? Email me directly. lee.rosso@queenslandtouch.com.au. It's down the bottom left-hand side there. Okay? Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I hope that you got something out of it, even if it's just one thing. Okay. If you have topics of interest, please let me know. I'm happy to increase the number of sessions that we run this for. And if you have any feedback for us, please make sure that you email that through to me as well.